Hey, what's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast, where we focus on helping guide you to have a business that produces consistent, positive cash flow. In doing so, you'll have a financially healthy business, be able to achieve your personal goals, and most importantly, sleep well at night. Today, we have with us Jody Underhill. Jody is an established internet marketing and recruiting strategist who helps organizations leverage social media to share their message to increase profits and recruit and retain A players on their team. Jody has blended his unique experience as an executive director with a Fortune 250 company, along with his meteoric rise as one of the most sought after marketing digital strategists for local businesses, and blended it into a unique recruiting process exclusively for the home service industry. As CEO of Rapid Hire Pro, he has grown the business from inception to working with 300 plus home service companies in just 24 months. So that is Jody Underhill. Welcome, Jody. Thank you so much for being here. What is going on today?
Thank you, Paul. Glad to be here. Just excited to share some of the things we've been doing for companies across the U.S. and Canada.
Awesome. I'm excited to dive into that as well. Just kind of for the backstory, I used to be a partner in a home service business. That's how I came across Jody originally, did the discovery call and everything that they do. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hire Jody because then I got bought out. But that's another story for another day. Today's all about Jody and how he can help you grow your business and find those technicians that you're looking for. So first things first, I want to dive into just how the company came to be. And then after that, we're going to jump into your expertise and how it can help our listeners today. So how did rapidhirepro.com come to be?
Sort of by accident, actually. We didn't set out to be a recruiting company. My background is actually in marketing. Before that, I worked for the power company in Florida for almost 30 years. Started a marketing agency, got very successful doing marketing. And along the way, I've did different coaching programs. And I had someone come to me and said, "Hey, I know you're great at setting up systems and processes. I'm doing recruiting in the trucking industry, and I'm facing about $72,000 of refunds because I just can't figure out a system to put in place." So I stepped in, helped him put a system in place, and thought that it's this is easier than trying to go sell people, websites and search engine optimization. Let me see if I can do this. So I went out and the next 12 weeks got about 10 different trucking companies to join and started doing recruiting in the trucking business. And along the way, probably after about 8 months into that, my wife, who is my business partner, reached out to Tommy Mello, who has been a friend of ours for over almost 14 years, and said, "Hey, Tommy, if you need to hire people, you should check out what we're doing in trucking." Not to sell him anything, just to say, "Hey, you should do this because it's really working." And he's like, "Fly out here next week. I want to see what it is." So we did, went out there, and he's like, "Yeah, I want you to do this." So that was in 2021, so less than 3 years ago. And we flew. So then we started doing it for them, had great results, and he started telling people about it on his podcast. And so people started reaching out from his podcast and saying, "Hey, can you look at this?" And he had some friends he had to be in touch with. And I went to an event, a home service event. He brought me on stage for 10 minutes, and within the next week, we had 7 more home service companies we were working for. And it's just sort of grown from there. Like I said, now we've worked with over 300 companies across the US and Canada. And we don't do trucking anymore. Everything we do is in home services. What I tell people is if your technicians get in a truck and go to a customer's house to do work there, we do recruiting for it. We don't do recruiting for healthcare or for anything else. We do it. We only work in the home service industry. So that's the Reader's Digest version of what we do.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's ironic because when we look at recruiting, it's marketing, right? We're marketing our company to attract people to come work for us. And we've got to sell them on that because anybody that's in the trades know the average age of people in the trades is getting up there. I don't know. Last time I checked, it's almost 60. So we need a lot of people in the trades, and Jody's the man and his team are the ones who are finding them. So everybody I've talked to ever in the trades, they say, if I could just find good help, I could grow my company. So you're here today to help solve that problem. What are some tips that you've found works that our listeners can, digest with them to get those A players? Because everyone says they can find people. They don't want to work anymore. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do this. What works for you guys?
So the main thing is we have to look at where are you getting the people that you're looking at sourcing and bringing into your company. Most people today are using the job boards because it's there and it's easy. You hear the advertising. We find the needle in the haystack, or just post your job here, and you'll have dozens of qualified people applying every day. And that's all well and good, but you have to look at who are the people that are actually going to those job boards that are looking for a job. Usually, it's not the people who are happy working where they're currently at. Everybody that you want to hire, and a lot of people are like, I want experienced technicians. Some people say, I don't want experienced technicians. I don't want to help. I don't want to have to break bad habits. I only want new people with a good attitude and aptitude that I can train. Doesn't matter where you fall in that spectrum, whoever you would like to hire is already working for someone else. So you have to get your information in front of people whenever they're not necessarily looking for a job. And how do you do that? You do it through getting it in front of where most people spend their time today. On average, most Americans, and actually I had somebody in Canada argue with me that Canadians don't spend as much time on social media, but they actually spend like 15 minutes a day more than Americans do. But in any case, so 2.5 hours a day they're spent on social media. So where we find the majority of our people is on Facebook and Instagram. Now we have some clients that'll say, I've tried running ads on LinkedIn, but everybody's overqualified. And I'm like, well, of course, because LinkedIn isn't where your technicians or installers are hanging out. That's where your CFOs and those kind of people are hanging out. So go where your people you're looking for is on Facebook and Instagram. Position your message in front of them and show them a better opportunity than what they currently have. Now, don't embellish it. Don't say things that aren't true. But the thing is that there are reasons your employees work for you instead of working for your competition. And I'm not saying this isn't like, I don't want to be poaching. If you're not calling the people, you're not going to their workplace, you're posting an ad on Facebook or Instagram, putting it in front of them, that's not poaching. That's just advertising, just like you advertise for customers, you advertise for employment candidates, the same thing. Then people say, well, I've done that. I've run ads on Facebook and Instagram. It doesn't work. Here's the thing. It only always works. It has to work. If it didn't work, there would be no advertising. Now, it is a special ad category of employment, and you have to fit within certain parameters. You can't discriminate. You can't target people by age or gender, and even by industry. You have to do it by geography only, and it has to show it to everybody who lives in the area. So what I tell people is you're really doing a branding play as well, but it's what are you asking them to do once they see the ad? Are you making an ad that's graphically appealing to get them to stop scrolling? Because they're scrolling through, they're looking at the latest brisket knife or a golf training aid or their neighbor's kid's soccer game, and you got to get them to stop, look at your ad, see it as appealing, click on it, read what your offer is, then take the step to click the button to give you their information so you can start communicating with them. That's a lot of steps to take to leave it up to somebody that just basically hasn't run employment ads before. So that's the main place is finding them is on Facebook and Instagram.
And when you and I talked before, you had a couple things that really stood out to me that a lot of people might not think, but you said, obviously you can't discriminate on age, gender, anything. You're just geographically locating these people. However, what you have found is a lot of times it's the spouses of the technician is like, wow, did you hear about this company? You don't have to work nights and weekends. You're not on call. You get to take your vehicle home. You get like whatever it is that y'all are offering. Mm-hmm. That's something that, you probably don't even think of. Do you mind kind of just taking a little bit of time just to dive into like some of the other ways that these ads are helping serve the company, whether it's through the spouses or, like you said, a branding play? What are some other things that you guys have found works?
So the thing is that yes, always make sure the ad, no matter where you place it, is shareable. And then inside the Meta Ads Manager, you can check the box to use other platforms. Most marketers will tell you, don't do that. You only want to run it. You don't want to put it on the other platforms. And for lead gen, that's usually correct. They're not telling you wrong. But for employment, check the box, put it everywhere you possibly can. What happens when you do that, when you put that little toggle over to using other ad platforms, it's not really taking it off of Facebook or Instagram. It's putting it everywhere you possibly can on Facebook and Instagram. It's putting it in the news feed. It's putting it in the sidebar. It's putting it in the reels. It's putting it in discovery. It's putting it in marketplace. If you ever wondered, how do those ads show up in marketplace? How many technicians and installers and CSRs and dispatchers do you think spend time in marketplace? A lot of them, right? Because it pops up in your news feed. So you want to put it everywhere you possibly can. Make sure it's shareable, and then put it everywhere you possibly can. And to your other statement about the different options, today, yes, benefits, pay is important. But what's becoming more important, because as you mentioned, it's an aging workforce, the mindset of I'm just going to go to work and work I'm going to work how many ever hours I can is not happening that much anymore. Now, today's younger technicians are just as concerned with work-life balance. Things like you mentioned, if you can take the truck dispatch from home, they start their day and end their day in their driveway. If you have a flexible work schedule, or if you work 4 10s, or if you have no on-call. If somebody asks me, well, how do you do no on-call? I don't know. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that said, you got to figure out how your scheduling works, not to have no on-call. But, or if it's limited on-call, whatever, no nights and weekends. Those are the things that are getting people's attention. And it's those things that you want to put on the graphic, because that graphic gets their attention, right? Smiling person, your branding, your logo, along with those things that are going to get their attention. And one of the ways to find out those nuggets is to interview your existing employees. Ask them, say, why do you work here? What do you find? What is the best thing about working here? And if you happen to be at the time, let me see, I should have had this out. Do it like this. Hey, Paul, why do you work here? What's the favorite thing about working here? Record it. That is a video that you can then take and utilize as a job ad, right? You have an employee, because self-promotion is usually of very little value, but when someone else says it, it works. It's worth its weight in gold.
That is so true. And I know you guys have certain parameters too, of like, if we want to attract A players, we have to have an organization that A players actually want to work at. And a lot of those things that you had just hit on, it's really hard to market an opportunity in an A player if you don't offer taking your vehicle home, or if you don't offer no nights and weekends, or if you don't offer opportunity to advance. So a lot of times, which you have run into, is people that want the A players, but they don't want to offer what the A players are looking for. And it's hard to pull them away from other companies. So what are some of like the best, if you want to call it best benefits, that you've seen organizations offer, whether that's benefits, financial benefits, or work-life balance benefits, that the top organizations offer in order to attract these A players?
So it is a full benefits package, usually, if you can do that. Now, if you don't have it, doesn't mean you have to go do that, but it's listing those other things that we just talked about. But one of the things that got more attention than anything, it was for an HVAC company, and they were listed that they have a fully stocked break room. I saw a TikTok the other day of somebody that was showing their break room at their HVAC company and all the stuff they had in there. That's not to say that that's the best thing out there, but it got more comments than anything else, and more people applying because they want to know more about that fully stocked break room. Those kind of things can kind of create a buzz, but it really is. It's about the positioning. And if you come to me and tell me that you're in a major city and that you're looking for HVAC technicians with 2 to 3 years and you pay $25 an hour, I'm going to tell you there's not much I can do with that. Now, I'm not saying that you have to raise your pay. I'm just saying there's not much I can do with that from the standpoint of getting someone's attention on Facebook or Instagram. Typically, what you look at is, what is the pay going to be today? If it is $25 an hour, that's fine. But what is that they can make? What is the most they can make? What does your top tech make? Because then the positioning of, especially if it's, starting at $25 an hour with a clear path to 95K, or, always put a plus after it. Don't say up to, because up to, the questions you get are, why is it up to? Why is there a limit? Or if you say 95K plus, then the ceiling's, the sky's the limit. Usually what we see with most companies, whether it's plumbing, HVAC, electrical, is usually somewhere north of 100,000 or clear path to 100K plus. That's where we're seeing the most movement. Granted, if you don't have anybody making that, don't say it. But if you do have people making that, that's the words you get around, because you can't say commission only on Facebook or Instagram, because the ads get rejected for unrealistic expectations. They don't know that it's not realistic, but they don't feel that anybody working on commission only or whatever can actually make that much money. So they think it's like a work from home opportunity kind of thing. So you want to be able to put that in place. But usually, no matter what the starting is, what the clear path they can get to. And then understand you're going to have to explain it. And you don't have to get into detail, because I have people that tell me about your pay package. And it's like, well, if they run on the job, they do this. And then if they refer it to a comfort advisor, they get $25. If they make a sale, they get $100. And if they do a UV light, they get this. I'm like, okay, you can't be granular. It's a picture. You got to see what can you put on a 1080 by 1080 square that's going to get someone's attention. That's the things that you want to do with that. But you can get granular in the interview process as far as how that works. But you want to be as 50,000 foot level as you can be, but yet, and also in the ad graphics itself and to your benefits, pick an emoji that matches the benefit, because they're reading a text. Most people read text today. If you're texting on your phone, emojis are in it a lot of times. Put emojis in your ads as well.
Love it. And I know when I was doing the discovery call with you with Rapid Hire Pro, you asked, do you have core values? If so, what are they? What is your take on core values? Why are they important? How does that play into attracting, these A players?
Sure. So with the core value, what we want to do when we're working with our clients is we want to build an avatar of what they're looking for, so that we can position the messaging, and so we can, as we move through and as they go through assessments, whether it's a skills assessment or a disc assessment or the video interview, we know what we're looking for as far as identifying if they're qualified. Your core values help us position that. And whenever you ask people about core values, when you tell them about core values, like when I'm interviewing somebody for our company, and I tell them our number one core value, I can tell if they look shocked, they're probably not going to be a fit for us, because our number one core value is gives a shit. Because if you don't give a shit about what you're doing and about our clients, and you don't need to be here. Then it's, lead without title. We want to make sure everybody here is able to position themselves as a leader. Then it's give grace, be kind first. You never know what someone's going through, especially in the business world today. You don't know, whenever you're talking to your customer, they might have had three techs walk out that day, or they may have had a customer that was upset and filed a small claim. Anything could be going on. Give grace, be kind first. And then finally, shows up. You got to show up and do your job every day, or you're not really going to be a fit for the team. When you look at the avatar, a lot of people look at the core value should be something that you can identify that they're not living up to, that they're not embodying, and it should be able to be a fireable offense. So integrity, okay, but what is that integrity? What does that look like for you? Or customer service or customer satisfaction. Got to get a little deeper in what does that look like, and from there we're able to say, like for instance, if one of your core values is strong communication, and we get the video interview, and the person is, well, it's like you want a selling technician in the video interview, they can't communicate. That's probably not going to make it to the next step, right? Or maybe they were nervous. Okay, they're going to be nervous if they're going out talking to a customer too. And we want to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. And if your core value is being able, as one of them is being able to, conscientious and doing the things that they need to do on a daily basis and follow processes, and they have a disc profile and it's high I and high D, then they're probably not going to be the right fit. So you need cautious thinkers, steady relators, especially like installers, right? When we get into disc, you look at the different realms for what they are for, whether it's a CSR or a dispatcher, they're completely different disc profiles. An installer is a different disc profile as a technician, no matter what industry it is.
Love it. So you hit on a lot of things in kind of this recruiting, hiring process that a lot of people probably don't do. Rapid Hire Pro basically does it all for you. You've heard it more than anybody when people say, I can't even get people to show up to an interview. Looks good on paper. They move right to the interview stage. They don't do anything that you just referenced. What are some of the steps that you guys do to ensure by the time an owner or a hiring manager or service manager, whoever this might be, is actually sitting down for an interview? What do you put in place before that? So in between application and interview, what do y'all do for your clients to make sure that person's actually going to show up to the interview because they've done X, Y, and Z? What are some of those X, Y, and Z things?
For the first thing we do, once we get the lead, and for us, the way the system works, all you can ask for on Facebook and Instagram is first name, last name, email, and phone number. If you ask for any more than that, you're discriminating. So we pull that into our system, and we start communicating with them instantly, and we put them into a nurture sequence. Just like you nurture a new lead for a customer, you want to nurture that new lead as a prospect so they get used to the communication. We do it via text, we do it via email, and we do it via voice drops, because nobody's answering the phone when it rings from an unrecognized number anyway these days. And we continue to communicate with them every day, moving them to the step of filling out the application so they get used to that nurturing. Once they fill out the application, they go into a nurture sequence to do the video interview. And it's an automated video interview, only takes their time. They click a link, they see the question, they answer it, and it runs through. It's an automation. After they answer those questions, then it goes to doing a skills assessment. And with a skills assessment, it's not, do you know how to wire a three-way switch or charge a system? It's their soft skills and how they communicate in their decision-making processes. It takes them about 5 minutes on their phone. After they complete that, the next step, they go into a nurture sequence to do the DISC personality profile. And these things only take about 5 minutes, so it's their micro commitments. We're getting them deeper and deeper into the system. Kind of like if you've ever bought business cards on Vistaprint, you go through and design your cards, you do all these things, you get to the end, great. You'll give your cards in the next 12 to 16 weeks, unless you want to pay for Express, right? So they get you, they're getting bought into the system. They're getting acclimated to how your company operates. They get to the point where those are done, and you look at it, and you're like, yeah, I want to interview this person. We go to work to schedule the interview on your calendar. Then we put them and you in a nurture sequence to make sure both of you show up for the interview, because it's not always the candidate that gets busy and forgets. So we put them into that same nurture sequence, reminding them 24 hours out and an hour out about the interview, and requesting them to respond if they are not going to make it. So that cuts down on about 80% of the no-shows that most of our clients are seeing before using our system. It's amazing what a simple, getting them indoctrinated. People hate the indoctrinated word. You're really indoctrinating them, yeah, or acclimating them to getting used to how this is going to work. And while they're moving through that process, they get used to it. We kind of condition them to do the next step.
Love it. That's phenomenal. I mean, it is true. If you want the A players are the ones that are willing to go through those micro steps. You guys also give them grace. It's part of your core values. So you send the reminders, because people do get busy. A lot of times people get a voicemail, they listen to it, then they forget about it because the little thing's not read anymore. And then 3 days later, they get a text like, oh man, thanks so much for reminding me, because I listened to that voicemail, but I was at work, couldn't call you back. So much actionable advice for people out there. As we start to wrap this up, Jody, most people ask for a book. I think by now everybody has enough books they can read, but we want to take immediate action here in the show. Give our listeners one thing that they could do within the next 24 hours to move their business forward, just even one step.
The first thing you can do is make sure that you have an ad account set up in your business manager for your Facebook page, and just put a very simple, we call them placeholder ads, or basically just a warm-up ad, putting out there that we're hiring, and have it so that they fill out their information. You can do that to start getting leads from Facebook tomorrow. Now, you're not going to have if you have automation is great, or the fact that you're going to get their first name, last name, email, and phone number, somebody on your team can start reaching out to them to have them then fill out an application. Anybody can do that. Any company can start that step. So like I said, it only always works. What you have to look at is take some of the things we've talked about, put those into the ad. The graphic can simply be your logo with a "we're hiring technicians, take a look" kind of thing. Just something to, as a sort of it's not really a placeholder, it's just a warm-up ad. Put that in place, and you'll see people actually putting their information in right away. We do that before we have everything set up. We get started instantly with our clients of having that ad so that they can start seeing it, because most people have to see something 3 or 4 times on social media before they actually click the button. So go ahead and start warming them up, so that when you do put a graphic out there with a smiling person, they're going to start clicking on it.
There you go, everybody. That's how you can get started today. Go on to Facebook, start your ad account, put that out there. And when you don't want to do it yourself, give Jody and his team a call. Go to rapidhirepro.com. Their customer service is second to none. I can vouch for that. Jody, thanks again for coming on the show today, sharing your journey and providing a ton of actionable advice for all the blue-collar business owners out there as we continue our journey to prosperity, which is only possible with consistent positive cash flow. I am confident that this will help everyone out there get one step closer to achieving their personal and professional goals. Jody, but before we sign off, where is the best place our listeners can go to either keep in touch with you or reach out to you to learn more?
I said, it's very simple. It's the only place we really have. It's rapidhirepro.com. There's a little blue button up there on the right-hand side. You click that link, you sign up for a call. We don't do sales calls. It's more of we understand a little bit about your business, and we give you recommendations on what it would look like to put everything in place. And if you want to know what it looks like for us to help you, we can talk about that at the end. rapidhirepro.com. Super simple.
Awesome, Jody. Thanks again for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Take care, everybody.